Okay, everyone, when you're going around Osh, what better way than in a 1973, 74
Probably.
VW Bug with the Vice President of Community and Members Program, Rick Larsen. So Rick, hey man, thanks for taking time out of your busy day. Here we are on Osh Eve, AirVenture Eve, and I appreciate you joining me to do this.
Not a problem.
Rick, what are some of the things that we're going to see here at AirVenture 2021?
Well, you know, that's always a tough question to answer because there are so many elements of AirVenture when you look at it from an overall features and attraction standpoint. But this year we're highlighting a number of different facets of aviation. You know, you'll see out on Boeing Plaza, which is our main tarmac in the center of the site. You'll see humanitarian flying represented there. Orbis flying, Eye Hospital, Samaritan's Purse bringing a DC-872.
Oh, nice. DC-8, wow.
You'll have a C-17 out there that actually just arrived a few minutes ago with a slide-in hospital unit that was used to transport COVID patients. So,
wow.
You know, that's one aspect that you'll see here this year.
Okay. What are some of the community projects that you've been shepherding? They're kind of like the nearest and dearest to your heart.
Well, outside of AirVenture, you know, we obviously do a lot of youth-oriented programming. You know, our mission is about getting people involved in aviation to grow participation, and
not just experimental aircraft.
So
that's almost a misnomer these days, right?
To some degree. I mean, you know, clearly the roots of the organization is amateur building, and that still represents a significant part of what the organization is, but really EA represents
it's all aviation.
Yep, and you know, with a clear focus on people that fly for the fun of flying. That's the core, the grassroots side of aviation, and you know, we're about, you know, how do we as an organization do the things that will, you know, help and encourage people to participate, make it easier for them to participate, and that's really what the focus of EAA is all about.
Okay, for those who are coming out this coming week, what would you say are the top 5 things that you have to see this?
Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, clearly, yeah, it depends on, you know, what your interest is, but, you know, the air show side is a big one for us. I mean, we run 9 air shows during the week, 7 daytime air shows, 2 nighttime air shows. You know, which is, you know, for someone that's never seen, you know, a nighttime air show, you know, it really is a great experience, great thing for the family. You know, it's a great way to go spend an evening. You know, so clearly the air show side is big. We do an event down in the ultralight area called the Twilight Flight Fest on the nights we don't do a nighttime air show, and it has just gotten more and more popular. And what it really is us showcasing more affordable, accessible ways to fly. So you'll see everything from, you know, a short takeoff and landing demo, you know, type competition going on down there, powered paragliding. This year we're going to show and demonstrate hang gliding down there. The whole idea is how do we get, you know, folks to see that aviation is accessible, and it can be affordable, and there's, you know, various ways in.
Dick was talking about that AirVenture is a chance to meet old friends, to see the community side of things. So, I mean, this is pretty much indicative of...
That's what it's been, every part of this for the last 5 or 6 days. You know, I mean, in so many ways, you know, AirVenture is a family reunion. And, you know, it's a family reunion that's bound together by that common passion and interest for aviation. And, you know, for the most part, you know, you're running back into people that we had, you know, it's been 24 months, you know, that you haven't seen for 2 years. So, you know, that's always been a huge part what the event is all about. Paul always used to say it's the airplanes that might get everybody here, but in the end, it's the people that keep everybody coming back, and that's exactly what this is.
It's about the people.
It is.
People who love airplanes.
Yep.
Well, very cool. What is AirVenture 2022 going to look like?
There are aspects of what we're doing this year that is obviously different than what we would do during a normal AirVenture. We didn't do an opening. We always do an opening day concert. We're not doing that this year
because of COVID.
Concerns? Yep. There's a number of larger events, dinners and things like that we just said, hey, we're not going to go do this year. We need to be doing the right things and the things that are socially responsible, relative to COVID. And we were making those decisions back in January and February, trying to guess what July was going to look like.
And then for a while there, you thought it was all done.
Yep.
And now this Delta variant has crept up. Has that affected your plans even for this AirVenture?
Not really. I mean, we felt like we've got the right things in place, in terms of protocols and that, and so I think we feel pretty good about where we're at.
Okay, so now tell me about the bugs. Why do we see all these VW bugs everywhere?
It's one of those things that got started years ago. And our chairman had a Volkswagen that wound up using as primary transportation on the field, and it just kind of grew from there. We're probably the largest operator of vintage Volkswagens that you're going to find anywhere. There's probably 25 or 30 VWs that are in our fleet. So
how do you keep them running?
We got a maintenance staff that
keeps them running.
Clearly keeps them. Again, I think as one of the largest operators of VWs, I would guess we probably have some of the best 1970s VW mechanics that you're going to find anywhere.
All right,
we're going to take a run down the flight line here.
Oh, absolutely. So since I've got you here, we're running down the flight line in a VW bug in the middle of the green grass. What is the best location for the air show?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody would say about where we are right now, which is what show center would be for the air show. But just given the nature, you'll see 3 miles of flight line filled up with people every day as the air show goes on. And there's a lot of people that love the vantage point of watching the air show from far north or far south. And it's an air show, so you can see it from a lot of different vantage points, and people will take advantage of that. And you'll see people move around during the week. I'm going to go show center one day, and I'll go to a different point, later in the week.
Wow. Talking about EAA now, let's not about AirVenture, but about the organization EAA. You guys are, you're not just 1 week in July. No. You guys are full time. What's your mission? What is it that you guys do now?
So, again, if you go back and you look at overall mission, it's growing participation, and we do that a lot of different ways. We do it programmatically, programs like Young Eagles, where, in a normal year, on an annual basis, we'll go fly 60,000 kids, providing them their first opportunity to go experience flight in a general aviation aircraft. That's all done by our volunteers, primarily through our chapter network. The organization runs, supports, a chapter network of almost 900 chapters. The focus, the mission of those is how do we, what can we be doing locally, to help someone get the most out of, their interest in aviation. So there's a lot of things that we do throughout the year. The advocacy side is a big one for us.
I was going to ask you about that next.
Working with the FAA, and we work, almost exclusively in a partnership type basis with the FAA, working to, improve affordability and accessibility. How do we make it easier for people to fly? How do we make it more affordable for people to fly? How do we make sure that, we've got, that things don't happen that jeopardize, some of the freedoms or, dramatically have an impact on cost. Because at the end of the day, people are doing this because they can afford to do it, and they've been able to, learn, and that, our mission is, how do we make that easier?
Then how would you differentiate EAA from AOPA? Are you guys doing kind of the same similar mission?
Not really. I think we look at AOPA as certainly much more, on the, I'll call it advocacy side and government side. We do it in a more focused manner because ours is about, from an advocacy standpoint, our focus is clearly on affordability and accessibility. And you can almost take everything we do and you can, drop it in there. We're way more community oriented with chapters, and we represent, the member, and do that in a way where we're promoting communities, we're promoting, the elements of the organization to, allow groups to gather and, participate together, and we do that in the form of chapters, with 900 and some chapters, around the country primarily. That's a huge focus. So we're much more, I would put us much more in, helping to energize and enable the community.
As a relatively new pilot, I've always thought of EAA as being experimental.
Yep.
That if I'm not building a plane, then really I don't have anything to do with those guys.
Yep.
But that's not the way it is. EAA is about community. It's about building that aviation community that love anybody that loves to fly.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't realize that, so it's good to know that.
Well, and you see it here at AirVenture. If we were to drive up into the North 40 or all the way down at the south end of the field, you'll have, 500 or 5,000 airplanes here that are non-experimental airplanes that are on the ground or more.
Like mine.
Those are the folks that see value in what EAA is all about as an organization, what the event's all about. And they're not amateur builders. They're, flying, T-seat airplanes, and, again, I think you step back and you look at the organization as a whole, and again, I'll go back to a Paul thing. Yes, it started with the experimental side, but, early on, he was all about, well, who would we turn away, and why, and instead...
And it was pretty much nobody.
Instead, he went the opposite way and said, we need to embrace the whole community, and, anybody that has a love for flight, a love for aviation, we want them, in the EA tent, and that's really what you see. That's what you see at the event like this.
Awesome. Well, Rick, thank you so much for driving me around.
Yeah.
What a truly unique experience here, and thanks for doing this.
Oh, you're more than welcome.